Now, I promise I didn't do this on purpose. It just sort of happened this way. But wouldn't you know it, we're now being joined by the reigning UFC middleweight champion, the man who will be defending his title for the first time. 10 years in the making. Here we go. Michael Bisping fights at UFC 204 against Dan Henderson. We're less than 2 weeks away, and the champ is joining us on the phone. Michael, how are you?
I'm very good. Of course, the interview was scheduled for 1 p.m.,
Yes.
not 1:06 p.m., but that's okay because I know Tim Kennedy has to yet clarify the excuses that he has for why he got knocked out against Yoel Romero 2 years ago and still hasn't fought. That takes time. I get it.
Did you hear the stuff right before that answer about you?
I heard some crap coming out of his mouth. My God. Listen, get over it. You got knocked out, buddy. Yoel Romero didn't get off the stool, but the fight continued and you got knocked out. So just shut up, get on with it. Go jump out of airplanes, jump out of helicopters, go to 14 countries. Nobody cares. Do the world a favor. Stay in one of those fucking countries.
I saw you guys going I saw you guys going back. I saw you going back and forth on Twitter. I thought you were friends now. I thought you were mates.
No, I'm only having a bit of fun with it, but Jesus Christ. The guy wants to talk smack about me still, then that's... Listen, you're fair game. You're fair game. He's come back. He's realized he's not going to be a movie star. He's not going to be the new star of the National Geographic Channel. And he's come back to get beat up some more.
Do you think, he said, one last thing on him, he said that when he wins on November 12th, he's going to get on the mic, he's going to make his case for a fight against you, for the belt. What are the chances you get by Dan Henderson? Do you think that he is anywhere near the vicinity of the title picture?
In a word, no. But allow me to elaborate, Mr. Helwani.
Thank you.
One-word answers are not my speciality.
Sure.
I mean, come on. There's a murderer's row. Of course, people are already suggesting that perhaps I am ducking the competition. If I was to take the short, squat, fat guy, then these rumors would continue to circulate. So it's up to me to take on the rightful number one contender after I dispatch of the old man.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to the task at hand because, as you say, Tim is not near that picture right now. You have been middleweight champion for a little less than 3 months, right? Or a little more than 3 months, excuse me. And as I said, it's been 10 years in the making. And well before that, you've dreamed of this. Has being champion for the last 3.5 months turned out as you expected, as you dreamed, better, sort of less? How would you describe your expectations as opposed to the reality of the situation?
To be honest, in my life, nothing has changed at all. I'm still the same person. But it's good. It's great. Of course, this is what, all fighters aspire to achieve. But has it lived up to expectation? Yeah, I guess. But, as I said, nothing has changed at all. Not one little thing about my life has changed. So, I've achieved that goal. I have a nice shiny belt in my house. I can look at it now and again. It brings a little smile to my face. Other than that, it's all the same. It's business as usual. I've got 3 kids. I've got fights to fight. I've got things to do. Nothing changes, Ariel.
Do you see a difference in the way people view you, treat you when you're out and about, businesses? I mean, do you feel that difference, the sort of championship aura that people talk about? Have you felt that?
Okay, yeah, I guess a little bit. I guess people speak to you with a little bit more respect, I could say. It's nice to get referred to as champ. That's always nice as a fighter when you hear that. That always, it feels good, of course. People say that anyway when you're fighting, but it's a little bit condescending when you're not actually the champion. So, yeah, that is nice. And God forbid, when the day comes I'm no longer the champion, I will miss that. But, I don't know. As I say, I don't let these things go to my head. I really don't. And I don't think about them. And all these people. And you know what? You'll never even hear me say, my fans. Anybody that goes out there and addresses their fans, they need to shut the fuck up. My fans. Fuck me, we're not rock stars. We step into a cage, we try and knock each other out. You know what I mean? Let's keep it in perspective. Yeah, it's good. La-di-da, I'm the world champion. Who gives a fuck, really? Nobody. Nobody cares. You know, it's nice, but let's keep it in perspective.
When you got the fight against Luke, and obviously you didn't have a lot of time in between accepting the fight and actually fighting the fight, and then shortly thereafter, did the idea of, okay, I'm going to win this title, and then I'm going to fight Dan Henderson in my home country, was that part of the plan? Did you ever dream of that scenario?
No, I didn't actually. No, I mean, of course, now it seems like the most logical thing in the world. Of course, there's a lot of fan outcry for this fight. A lot of people want to see it. I know there's a lot of interest. To do it in the UK seems perfect. You know, my biggest loss of my career, to get redemption, to get revenge in my home country, in my home city. That seems like, you know, you couldn't write it any better than that. You know, it just seemed like a movie plot. It seems perfect. So I'm very, very excited. You know what I mean? The fight's happening at 5 a.m, which is crazy. The tickets sold out in 6 minutes, which is even crazier. It's a big fight. There's a stellar fight card, top to bottom. There's great fights on. The co-main event is intriguing. Of course, me and Dan Henderson, that sells itself. So it's an intriguing fight. It's an intriguing time. The fan demand has been incredible. I'm in the best shape of my life, and I can't wait to put a beating on Dan Henderson that he will never forget and that the world will never forget. People will remember Dan Henderson as a legend, but they're always going to remember the shit kicking that he took in his last fight at UFC 204.
The story that I've heard is that you did not ask the UFC for this fight. They came to you with the idea, yet what has been put out there has been somewhat different. No one has come out and said, whoa, wait a second. From the UFC, we're the ones who came to Mike. Like, he did not ask for this. He didn't go down the line. And I'll be honest, at first, and I actually said this to you in person, I don't know if you remember, after UFC 200, I was like, this seems weird to go for the 13th ranked guy when all this, you know, activity is at the top. Are you disappointed that no one has come to your defense and cleared the air to not make you seem like you were picking and choosing in your title defense?
Listen, my entire life, nobody has come to my defense regarding anything. I've always fought my own corner. And I'll do it one more time. Dana White called me on the Tuesday after I won the belt and said, we're thinking of you versus Dan Henderson. How's that sound? And I said, yeah, of course. I owe that guy one. You know, of course, he had that big knockout against Hector Lombard. So the stars kind of aligned. You know, they offered me the fight. I gladly accepted. As I say, he proved he's still got power. He's proved he can still knock people out. He's still got a fan base. He's going to retire soon, so I wanted to get that one back. So there's many reasons why this fight makes sense, you know, and I'm kind of sick of explaining that all these other guys that want a shot at the belt, they're still going to be there. They're not retiring. Dan Henderson is retiring, so if I'm ever going to get this one back, it does need to be now. But for the record, yeah, the UFC offered me the fight. I didn't ask them for the fight, but I did accept. Of course I did.
Sure.
You know, and I'm looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it.
As a guy who could have gotten a title shot, you know, well earlier in his career, based off your popularity and the types of opponents that you competed against, was there ever a part of you who said, like, he doesn't necessarily deserve this, like, he didn't do enough to warrant this title shot? Did that bother you at all, considering the long journey that you had to, you know, endure to get to this title fight against Luke on June 4th?
Not in the slightest. In fact, I was immediately excited. When Dana said that, I was like, yeah, of course, 100%. I believe my actual words were, of course, I owe that old motherfucker an ass kicking. So it was something like that. So, of course, you know, I mean, I didn't hesitate. I see the line of thinking that you're using, and I can understand it. But for me, it wasn't about that. You know, he said Dan Henderson. I was like, yeah, of course, I've owed that guy one for a long time. Of course, I don't want to beat a dead drum, you know what I mean? We could talk about the TRT and all these things. I've said my piece on that, and everybody knows my opinions on that. So for all these reasons, the fight makes sense, you know what I mean? Dan Henderson has proven he's still effective. He's got that big right hand. He can still knock people out. The last thing that goes is power. And on top of the power, he actually still has some good timing with that hand. And it's incredibly fast as well. If you see it in the Hector Lombard fight, he drilled Hector with it several times prior to getting the knockout. So Whilst I don't think this will be a walk in the park, of course I'm confident. You know, I'm the younger guy, the better guy, the bigger guy, the faster guy. But also on top of everything, I think I'm mentally strong, the better guy. You know, it's my mentality and my mental strength that has got me this far, which got me to the world title in the first place. And I believe it's why I'll win this fight as well. I mean, you know, if you look at some of the fighters that I've beaten, you know, they're better physically, but mentally they're not in my league. So it's the mentality that I bring to the table, which is what has brought me my success. You combine that with my more athletic and younger body, I think it's hard to argue a case where I don't win this fight.
I'm assuming you watched the card on Saturday, right?
For the most part, yeah. I saw the last few fights. I recorded it, but I saw most of it. I was, where was I? I was out running a few errands.
Okay, my question is, if you watched that card for an hour or two, the commercial for your pay-per-view event was airing multiple times. I mean, over and over again. And a big part of that commercial is the knockout. What is it like for someone who's about to fight in less than 2 weeks against the guy who gave you that knockout to watch that over and over and over again? Do you close your eyes? Do you ignore it? Do you get pissed off? What is that like?
Well, unfortunately, the thing is that knockout happened 7 years ago. And if you think I've never seen it, you would be mistaken, Ariel. I mean, that knockout has been repeated and shown to me by the UFC or on Fox Sports or on Twitter. The amount of people that tweet me that GIF is unbelievable. So me seeing that is nothing new. I've seen it ad nauseum.
Okay.
Of course, you know, you don't want to see it. You don't want to see the guy knocking you out that you're about to step into the octagon with. Of course, but listen, I felt it. I saw it. I've seen it. I've seen it a million times. And it's great. It's great. I see it, and that just fuels me. It fuels me to show the world, well, listen, that will not happen again. Take it. Take that one little moment. Take that one time Michael Bisping got knocked out and loop it. Play it on loop, because guess what? The record will be getting set straight on October 8th. Make no mistake, that will not be landing. The H-bomb will not land. Lightning does not strike twice, and Dan Henderson will lose the fight.
Is it fair to say that you're somewhat numb to it now? Like it doesn't really exist. Like when you see it, it's just something there. It doesn't have an impact on you at all?
You know, I mean, yeah, I guess that would be a fair assumption to say. I think from a sports psychology aspect, you would say that you don't want to see that, you know, because one thing that you don't want to see is your opponent that you're going to fight constantly knocking you out over and over again. As I say, I have seen that on a number of occasions, so it's not like it's anything new. But I know in our first fight with Dan Henderson, you know, I studied his tape very, very closely, and I've said this in multiple interviews over the years. You know, I coached the Ultimate Fighter with him, and prior to finding out I was doing that, and then the time that passed to where I was fighting him, I think it was like an 8-month span. So for 8 months, I watched this guy knock people out over and over again. And then when I got in there, you know, I was a little bit gun shy because subconsciously I just seen this guy knock people out for the last 8 months. Well, unfortunately now for this last 7 years, all I've seen is him knocking me out. But fortunately, I have rocks for brains and unshakable self-belief. I know I'm the better guy. I know I can beat Dan Henderson. I'm looking forward to this challenge. I'm looking forward to getting revenge. I'm looking forward to defending the belt. I'm looking forward to representing Great Britain on the world stage and continuing to be the world champion. So, yes, you know, there is those little demons inside. I mean, all fighters, you know, can ooze bravado at a press conference, but all fighters know they have those little bits, those inner demons, you know, the doubt. The closer a fight gets, the more the doubt creeps in, you know. I guarantee most fighters, and I do this myself, each and every time, you know, 30 minutes before you go out, you kind of look at your coaches and you say, why do I do this again? Why the fuck do I do this? You know, but then you go out there, you get a great win, and then you're excited to do it again. You know, I mean, the closer the fight gets, the more doubt comes in, you know. But right now, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very positive. All I've got to do is watch out for that right hand, and this fight is mine. It's in the bag.
Am I crazy, or at the media day last week, did he insinuate that you are on PEDs? I
know. Can you believe it? He certainly did. I I didn't see Dan Henderson, unfortunately, but can you believe the nerve of this guy, the godfather of TRT, the guy that made this the trend, has the audacity, the balls, the barefaced cheek to imply that the cleanest guy in the sport, the man that's been tested more times than anything, he's on steroids. That's what he said. He said, my body type has changed over the years and it's a little suspicious. My God. Can you believe it? See, that's what I'm talking about. That's the doubt. That's the doubt that's creeping into Dan Henderson's mind. Dan Henderson's looking at me thinking, ooh, he's looking big or whatever. Maybe he's on steroids. I want to know how many times has Dan Henderson been tested this training camp. I've been tested a couple of times. I haven't heard anything about Dan Henderson being tested. I would like to know that. I would like to know how many times he has been tested. Shame on you, Dan Henderson. Don't tar everybody with the same brush as yourself. Just because you're willing to cheat, don't hold everybody else to the same moral standards that you hold yourself to.
Mentally, does it feel at all different? Like, you've been the favorite before. You always have had a bullseye on your back. Like, it's amazing. You've been called out by more people in the last 10 years than anyone in the history of the sport. You're always that guy. But this is the first time in your career that you're going into the fight as UFC champion. Does it feel at all different in that respect?
Yeah, it brings a lot of pressure. You know,
you feel that?
Massively I feel that. You know, I mean, I can sit here and lie and say that I don't, but what does that achieve? Nothing. The reality of the situation is that I'm under a lot of pressure. You know, I mean, I just won the belt. I mean, going into the fight against Rockhold, there was zero pressure.
Yeah.
Everybody expected me to lose that fight, and all I had to do really was give a good account of myself, and I was a winner. You know, I'd done well, and I came in off 2 weeks. It was a free payday and all these types of things. I went out there and I just swung and I did my best and I knocked the bum out. Now the tables have turned. Now the pressure's on me. Now I'm supposed to win. Now I'm the world champion. I'm the guy with the belt that everybody wants. And also it's against Dan Henderson, who's already knocked me out. Yeah, but now he's old, so everyone's saying I'm the favourite. So it brings massive, immense pressure. You know, as I say, I have that world title belt in my house, and it brings a smile to my face. I still want that. I don't want to be a guy that's one and done. I don't want to be a guy that, you know, is one of these, you know, overnight champions, you know, got a shot by default, won it, and then lost it again straight away. You know, that would be heartbreaking for me. It really would. And let's be honest, Dan Henderson has the tools and the style to knock anybody out with one punch. Knocks me out, knocks Babalu out, knocks Fedor Emelianenko out. The list goes on and on. Just knocked out Hector Lombard, who's never been knocked out. People can say what they want, but I had the balls to go in there and fight a guy that can end it truly in one shot. Not a lot of people can do that. Dan Henderson can. So yeah, there's massive pressure on me in this fight. Of course there is this huge pressure because, again, this would just be the tail of my career, wouldn't it? Because, you know, I know what people say. I know they still say they're not convinced that I'm the champion. Fucking Chris Weinman still says, oh, it's embarrassing that this thing's the champion, you know? And if I was to go out there and lose to Henderson, can you imagine what my critics would say? So it brings massive, massive pressure. But don't worry about it. I got this. I got it in the bag. And all those little fuckers that doubt me, they'll all get it one by one.
What was the best part about going back for the media tour, Old Trafford? You're in Manchester. What was that like? What stood out?
The best thing for me was what the people of Manchester. We did a signing at it's called the Trafford Centre. It's like a huge mall, and we did a signing there. And the crowd, the turnout was just unbelievable. It was insane. And for me to be there signing autographs I was embarrassed, if I'm honest, because that's where I used to go when I was younger. When my wife was my girlfriend, we'd go there and we'd go shopping and, you know, go buy a new pair of shoes or jeans or whatever the weekend and get lunch, you know, and then to be there signing autographs was crazy. But it wasn't just that, it was the things that people said to me, the words that they said, it just blew my mind, you know. The amount of people that came up and said, I cried when you won the belt.
Wow.
And for a little bit, I didn't believe them. I thought they're just saying that to be nice. But time and time again, so many people said, I cried when you won the belt. And I was like, I don't understand. Why are you so emotionally involved? And the people again kept saying, there's only 2 times I've cried, when my son was born and when you won the belt. And I was like, I still to this day I can't understand it, but it just blew my mind. It was truly humbling, and it was amazing. And also to go back to my old house where I used to live, and my mum lives there now. To go to the house with the bell and see my mum, and then to go up to this castle. There's a castle in the town where I'm from, Clitheroe Castle. When I was a kid, when I used to do kickboxing and stuff, I'd run the steps. I'd run the castle steps. It's very Rocky-esque, if you will. But I went up to the top of the castle with the belt, because even when I was in the UFC, I used to run those steps prior to me moving out to America.
Wow.
I still run those steps, and I've run them since I was a kid. So I went to the top of the castle, and it looks out over the town. And for me, that was a personal moment. I took the belt up there, which is a little bit cheesy, but I got a couple of pictures with my manager and quickly disappeared again before anybody saw me. I thought, what the fuck is he doing up the top of the castle with his belt? But for me, it was a personal thing, so that was nice.
Wow, that is beautiful. When do you go back? When do you head out to Manchester?
I leave on Saturday evening, land in Manchester Sunday.
And what are you going to do? This is such a unique situation. You're fighting at around 5 a.m. local time. And I would imagine, okay, you could just say, all right, I'm going to stick to, the, North American time zone because that's when you'll be fighting. But I'm sure that you're going to have to do media and sell this fight and go around. So how are you going to prepare your body to fight at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming, I haven't spoken to the PR department yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be, all the obligations will be in the afternoon.
Okay. And
I think as long as my day doesn't really start before 1 p.m., I should be good. From 1 p.m. to 5 a.m., what is that? It's 14 hours. Is it something like that? 12? Yeah, 14, 15 hours. If your day started at 7 p.m., that would be equivalent to 10 p.m. at night. So it's not that hard. It's not that much of a stretch. Bearing in mind, my body is going to be on California time. I'll make sure there's no phone calls, no interruptions, and I'll wake up in the afternoon and I'll get out of bed. I'll have breakfast around 1 in the afternoon. I'll do some more media obligations. I'll train in the evening. And, by the time the fight comes, it won't be an issue. Let's be honest. With the adrenaline and things like that, that's not going to be an issue. Nobody is going to be yawning when they're in the octagon going, oh, you know what, I'm really tired. I can just have a little nap. No one's with the adrenaline and the situation, everybody's going to be high as a kite on adrenaline. So, it's a little unique, but it's also kind of cool. I think it's amazing. I never thought I'd get to do this. I remember Kostya Tszyu and Ricky Hatton fought at the same arena at the same time. It was absolutely packed out, and I thought that was really cool then. So to be doing this, it's very, very cool. Yeah, it's challenging. I know it's a pain in the arse for a lot of people going to the arena, and I thank everybody that bought a ticket, everybody that showed support, because 6-minute sellout is just mind-blowing. It just blows my mind. Again, it really does. But these are the economics of the situation, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Do you think it would have sold out Old Trafford?
To be honest, I think it would have sold out anywhere in the country. Dana actually gave me the choice of Manchester or the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, and I think it's like 60,000 seater, and I said, no, it's got to be Manchester. It's got to be Manchester. But I think for my next fight, I would love to do the Millennium Stadium.
Wow.
Look at that. The MEN Arena, or the Manchester Arena, as it's now called, I believe it's the biggest arena in Europe. And we sold it out in 6 minutes. And the demand for tickets is crazy. So I think we could do a bigger, the Millennium Stadium next time. I really do. So I'll speak to the UFC. Fingers crossed, get the job done against Henderson, get a good win. And then hopefully, we do a big stadium show, because the demand is definitely there. 6 minutes at 5 in the morning. Come on.
You are synonymous with that Blur song, but could you imagine, I don't know if you've thought of this, but could you imagine if just like a couple of strands of Blue Moon play right before, and then it remixes into the Blur song as a nod to Manchester's Ricky Hatton? What is? Are you feeling me on this, or are we on the same page?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling you, but there's a different avenue that I'm going down.
Oh.
Oasis are a big part of Manchester culture.
Oh.
And there's a particular song that they use that is synonymous with Manchester and Manchester City Football Club, even though I'm a Manchester United fan. And hopefully, I haven't finally made my mind up yet. The only problem is I was going to do like a remix and this and that, but the problem is Oasis and Blur, because obviously Blur is my walkout music, Blur song too. But Oasis and Blur don't mix; they hate each other. What they did back in the day, anyway. So for anybody that knows anything about Britpop, that would just seem stupid to have an Oasis song then blend into a Blur song. It would seem so hypocritical. So that's been my one reservation. But I'm in Manchester, so and you know, world title fight. I'm gonna come up with something special, that's for sure.
Wow, a little Wonderwall action, is that what we're hinting at?
There you go. Today is gonna be the day that I'm gonna give it back to you, Dan Henderson.
Oh wow, that is brilliant. I didn't even think of that. That is unbelievable. You gotta go with that. A little bit of that, and
today
then
is gonna be the day that I'm gonna give it back to you.
Holy smokes, that is something else. That is a beautiful. Wow.
There you go.
Well
there
done.
You go.
Did you think of that?
Genius.
Did you think of that on your own?
Of course I did.
Okay. I thought it was your son, Callum. He's really the brains behind the brains.
I'll be honest, Callum comes up with most of the good stuff. Anything good that I say on FS1, that's down to Callum. But I came up with that one. Today is going to be the day that I'm going to give it back to you.
Wow. Okay, two more things, and I'm sorry for going a little longer. Unfortunately, I will not be...
No, you're good, Ariel.
Okay, it's just I won't be there, and I'm a little bummed out, but I will certainly be watching from stateside. I saw on your Instagram and your social media, you were traveling not that long ago with your wife. You seem to be having a great time, and I was thinking, is it possible that Michael Bisping is trying to recreate the circumstances surrounding his title fight against Luke Rockhold, and is going to go out and just enjoy life and then train for 2 weeks before this fight? Because that's what I was thinking for a second. Were you doing that?
So if you didn't know much about the situation, you could be forgiven for thinking that. Now, of course, with the Rockhold fight, I went in there on a short camp, and I did speak about the fact that I did a short camp and I felt strong on all these things. So I wanted to make sure that I learned that lesson and it wasn't just talk. So as it happens, I actually signed on to do a movie called My Name is Lenny. And then after signing the contracts, shortly after that, this fight was signed. And I know that, you know, even still with all the talk and this and that, it's still a distraction. So I know my coach, Jason Brillo, was massively concerned. But I went out to England. I filmed this movie. My Thai boxing coach, Darren Morris, came down, lived with me in London. So my schedule, I was working in the day, I was filming the movie. Then in the evening, I would train. You know, I trained for a few weeks before I went out there. Then I did the movie, and then, you know, we had a little bit of downtime. And then I came back, and I still had 4 weeks of intensive work. And I've still got 2 weeks left, Ariel. There's still 2 weeks until the fight. I tell you, I can fight right now. I am in shape, and I've still got 2 more weeks. You don't need 8 weeks. Everybody in this world massively overtrains when it comes to fighting. Apart from what I hear, Dan Henderson, because I hear he's a lazy fuck. But other than that, most people overtrain, and I'm trying to learn from my experiences. I wish I knew what I knew now 10 years ago. I wish I knew what I know now 10 years ago. It's amazing that I've won so many fights. I think it's my heart that won me those fights, because I used to train so much. I mean, I came back here after filming that movie, and I trained hard for a week. And I was like, geez, Louise, I can't believe that I used to do 8 weeks of this. 8 weeks. I mean, you're just driving yourself into the ground. You know, so yeah, I learned from the last fight, the last camp. I went away. The movie was a distraction, but it was a welcome distraction. And as I say, I've still got 2 weeks left to fine-tune things, do some more sparring, lose a couple of pounds, and we're well on track for a great performance.
The title picture is a very interesting one, and Rockhold's fighting Jacare in exactly 2 months from now, and we're hoping that Weidman will end up on the New York card against Yoel Romero. Who do you think will deserve the title shot out of those four, if it is those four, after you successfully defend the title? Who do you think, in your opinion, should be the next guy?
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, they are the top four guys.
Yeah.
You know, make no mistake. And they're all matched up. So I guess it's whoever wins the most impressively. I'll tell you who I don't think deserves it, Yoel Romero. I don't think he deserves it. There's no smoke without fire. He got a reduced sentence, but the fact is he still got a sentence. And I've read some studies lately that even if you take performance-enhancing drugs, the benefits of those stay in your system for a long, long time. So I don't think Yoel Romero deserves it. The other three, they're clean, or they certainly appear to be clean from what I can gather. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
who do you think it's going to be? Who will emerge?
Pardon me?
Who will emerge?
That's a good question, my friend. That's a very, very good question. I mean, I would like Chris Weidman. I would like Chris Weidman simply because, listen, for all the back and forth and the shit talking and this and that, I respect Chris Weidman and I like Chris Weidman. I like what he does. He's got a little case of sour grapes at the minute and this and that, and he's talking a lot of shit about me. But I respect that guy. I see the way he carries himself and this and that. He's a likable guy, but he's talked some shit. So I'd like to fight him. I've beaten Luke Rockhold. I've knocked him out. Yoel Romero, I have no interest. Jacare is another guy. He's fantastic, to be honest, as well. So they're all worthy. They're all very, very good. But unless you're coming off a ban for performance-enhancing drugs, which Yoel is. Other than that, whoever has the best performance, if you want to know who I think wins, I think Weidman beats Romero, and I think Jacare beats Rockhold.
Is the GSP stuff dead?
Ask GSP. If GSP wants to fight, I'm here. His coach reached out to me, a man by the name of Jorge Blanco, and tried to stir the pot a little bit. And I'm happy to fight George St. Pierre. More than happy. That's something that interests me. George, if you're listening, don't reach out and then do nothing with it. I am willing to fight you. I'm willing to have a quick turnaround and fight you in Toronto at UFC 206.
Wow.
1,000,000%. I will do that. I will do that. So if you're listening and you want to fight, okay, be a man, call the UFC and take the deal. Stop outpricing yourself. We all want more money. I want 10 times more than what I get paid. I'm very happy with what I get paid. My point is we all want more money. Stop outpricing yourself on the market, George. If you want to fight, if you want to do it, then here I am. I'll beat Dan Henderson. Let's go. I'll even do it at a catch weight of 180 pounds, even though that will kill me.
Wow. Have you ever been lower than 185? Like in the last, when have you been lower than 185?
Well, last time I fought Dan Henderson, I walked onto the scale at 185 pounds, and I didn't cut any weight. That's why he's saying that I look bigger now, because I am bigger. It's because I cut down from 200 pounds the day before the weigh-in. I learned my lesson. After that fight, I started cutting from 200. So the fact that I got down to 185, I can get down to, I could do it. Nobody wants to do it, but if Cyborg can get to 140, I can get to 180. And it all depends. If you're going to dangle George St. Pierre in Toronto, then yeah, I'll do it. And even though me getting down to 180 is playing into the hands of George St. Pierre, because I would be weakening myself. And let's be honest, he's just going to try and wrestle me. And the more strength you have as a wrestler, the better for him. And the lighter I am, the weaker I am. So I'd even be playing into George's hands. But if he wants to talk about the weight and it's too much, I'll do it at 180. So it's up to you, George. Be a man. Here I am. Let's go.
Final thing, Michael. And this isn't some kind of revelation, but I'm wondering if you ever had this thought, one night in the last few weeks as you're laying in bed thinking about your life, and in particular this year. I mean, you win this fight. There's a very good chance you're Fighter of the Year. 2016 Fighter of the Year. Who would have thunk it? Michael Bisping, middleweight champion. Have you thought about the fairy tale that is your year when you think about what this loss represented back in 2009 on the stage, how it happened, the ridicule afterwards, and then going back home and as champion getting to end this man's career? I mean, you can't write a script like this, and it took a very long time to get there, but have you ever thought to yourself like, wow, I can't believe the way things are turning out. Like if this actually happens the way I think it's going to happen on October 8th, and you wish you could have told yourself that, probably when you were down about the loss after UFC 100. It's just sort of mind-blowing when you think about the arc here. Have you ever truly thought of that, and how do you react when you do think about it?
That's a good question, Ariel. I remember, of course, after the loss to Henderson, I went through, I don't want to say depression, because that's not an accurate word, but I certainly had my days where I felt sorry for myself. Of course, I remember I remember one day in particular, I was laying in bed and I felt very, very sorry for myself. And, I got quite emotional and this and that. And if you could have turned around and said to me then, don't worry, Michael, 7 years from now, you're going to be champion of the world and you're going to rematch Dan Henderson in your hometown, a sold-out crowd that's going to sell out in 6 minutes where you just knocked out the champion inside the first round. If you'd have told me that then, I'd have laughed and I said, thanks for trying to cheer me up, Michael, from the future, but you're full of shit. But here we are. I never stopped believing in myself. I don't want to get on my soapbox and start lecturing people because I can't stand those preachy bastards on Facebook and Instagram. But, here we are. And that is the reality of the situation. I'm proud of myself. I've worked hard. I've never stopped believing in myself. My family, my wife, my children, my management have been there and helped me out all the way through this. And really, at the end of the day, this is all I know how to do. I'm a fighter born and bred. And for right or wrong, it's got me in a lot of trouble. He's got me in a lot of good spots in life as well. He's got me to where I am today. And I never forget that. And fingers crossed, knowing all that stuff will get me the win on October 8th. I want to thank everybody that bought a ticket, everybody that supported me, everyone that doubted me as well. The doubters really fueled me as well because I know I have so many of them. I know so many people think it's a joke that I'm champion. And just trust me, I can't wait to go out there and prove you all wrong. All those other people, to prove Dan Henderson, all Dan Henderson's little fanboys, everybody that laughed at me along the way when I said I was going to be champion. You think I don't see the comments? Back in the day when I said, after every fight, I'm going nowhere. I will be champion one day. And people chuckled and they laughed. But they're not laughing now, and I will get my revenge. And, it will be that fairy tale ending for me, not for Dan Henderson.
Today is going to be the day that I'm going to give it back to you. Unbelievable. I'm still blown away by that.
We need to do some T-shirts. If anybody's listening and wants to do a T-shirt, today is going to be the day that I'm going to give it back to you. Reach out. Let's do it. Let's sell some T-shirts.
Unbelievable. And man, how about a commercial? We still got 2 weeks. UFC PR department, marketing department. Let's get that on a commercial. I still think back to our little chat in Montreal after the Luke Rockhold fight, and you were still talking title shot. And I'll be honest, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I don't know if it's ever going to get to that point for this man. Yeah. And now look at you. Look at you. It's unbelievable. No one believed you.
No, I know. Listen, I'll be honest, there was times when I kind of, I'd resigned myself to the fact that maybe it wasn't going to happen, but screw it. I'm still in a fortunate position. I'm still getting paid to do what I love to do and still taking care of my family, which a lot of people aren't in that position. So, sometimes you've got to look at the greater good. I'm doing something I love. Will I be the champion? No, I won't, but so what? Keep doing what I'm doing and you never know. And here we are. I'm the champion. I get to get revenge. I'm a happy man.
Well done, Michael. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time before things get hectic. It wouldn't have been the same without you. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Best of luck to you. Can't wait for the fight and enjoy your time back home.
Thanks, buddy. Anytime, Ariel. Take care.
All right, there he is, the UFC middleweight champion, Michael Bisping, defending his title October 8th, back home, Manchester Arena, against his longtime rival, Dan Henderson. It's hard to beat Michael Bisping when it comes to interviews. The honesty. I mean, how about this entire show? You talk about honesty, from Lockhart talking about Cyborg situation, Will Brooks talking about his situation and what he deals with on a day-to-day basis, Joseph Duffy talking about his contract situation, Tyron Woodley talking about his situation, Tim Kennedy talking about flying out of planes and dealing with all kinds of radioactive craziness, and then Michael Bisping. What a show. Wow. Just honesty up and down it. And that's why I love doing it. That's why I love covering this sport so much. You can hit my music. We are out of time. UFC 205 is less than 2 months away, and I know it is the topic of conversation. I suspect in the next 24 hours or so, we're gonna know a whole lot more about UFC 205. Still fluid. Don't give up hope. And if we're left with what we're left with, it ain't bad. Don't get it twisted. But I know we have been programmed to expect legendary epicness. That's what we were told. What's going to happen in the next 24 hours or so? It's going to be an interesting scene. It's at 6 p.m. at the MSG Theater in New York City, a mere 6 blocks from here. I will be there. We will be there. It's going to be very interesting stuff. For now, we will say goodbye. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. I want to thank everyone who stopped by today. Thank you very much, Mark Ramundi. Thank you very much, George Lockhart. Thank you very much, and best of luck to Will Brooks. Thank you very much, and best of luck to Joseph Duffy. Thank you very much to Tyron Woodley for stopping by. You don't know what it took for him to get here. It took a lot, and I can't tell him how thankful I am that he came over here to visit us. Thank you very much to Tim Kennedy, and of course, thank you very much to Michael Bisping. Congratulations to Chris Cyborg. Hopefully, the UFC listens to its very own Joe Rogan and gives her that 145-pound weight class, gives her that UFC featherweight title, women's featherweight title, women's 145-pound title. She's one of the best fighters in the world, period, male or female. She deserves it. On Saturday night, she proved it once again. We're out. Back next week, same time and place. Until then, I say peace.